Shalom. We are in our sixth class in our mini-series of Orot HaMilchama, Rav Kook's Lights of War. And today we're going to touch on a bunch of small points which Rav Kook relates to in many of his books regarding other benefits or eye-openers, game-changers that come out of war. And number one is an interesting thing that Rav Kook writes in the context of World War I, where he says that it is tzedek, it is justice for a nation whose land is invaded by another nation to fight and to defend for the sake of justice. Now, one of God's character traits, of the 13 traits, is tzedek, is justice. And that's another point. Now, kal v'chomer, how much more so, Rav Kook writes in many places that it's important for Jews to feel and to defend Jewish pride. When Jewish daughters are defiled and our children are kidnapped, that is a very serious blow to Jewish pride. And Rav Kook says that the concept of being proud of a nation is true regarding France, and it's true regarding every nation. As a matter of fact, in one of the letters of Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, his son, he writes to Rav Kook that he was on a ship, a large ship, an Austrian ship, and from the other direction came a British ship, which was even larger. And everyone was saying, wow, look at that English ship, it's even larger. And the captain of the Austrian ship, he got offended, and he said, but wait, you'll see, when you get to Austria, we have even greater ships than that big ship. And Rav Tzvi Yehuda asked his father, Rav Kook, is that nationalism something good? And Rav Kook answers him, nationalism is a godly thing. It's a natural thing for the French to be proud of the French nation. And even something as minor as a sports team. A Jew should be proud when a Jew wins gold in the Olympics. My children know that whenever a Jew wins something in the Olympics and they're going to play Hatikva, they know to call me, because they know that I stand with tears in my eyes for Jewish pride. And just like any Jew, I think, is proud when a Jew wins a Nobel Prize. And we're proud of Sandy Koufax and Simon and Garfunkel. And so too it's natural, how much more so, when the nation of Israel is slapped, as we were 3 weeks ago on Simchat Torah by the Hamas, that we have to stand up for Jewish pride. Now, this is also connected to another point that Rav Kook makes elsewhere regarding Ahavat Yisrael, love of Israel. Rav Kook writes regarding the question of Zionism, he says, why should anyone need a source to love the Jewish people, to love the Jewish land, to love the Jewish army, to love the Jewish language? Right? That's the ABCs of being Jewish, is that you are proud of your Judaism. As a matter of fact, today, where so many Jews in the world are totally assimilated, a Jew out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, he might not even go to a synagogue on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, but his connection to the Jewish people is when he opens the paper and he sees the people of Israel, and he's proud of being Jewish. Now, if this is true about every nation, how much more so, Rav Kook says, regarding the chosen people? That we have an eternal role, a moral role, to bring monotheism and morality, the Ten Commandments and prophecy. We have a big role to the world. And if the Jewish people are put down, that is a Chilul Hashem. That's a bad reflection on God. And that's why when the Babylonians destroyed the first temple, they said, Ayeh Hashem Elokecha, Jew, where's your God? And the same thing when the Romans destroyed the second temple. I guess the Jewish God isn't as strong as the Roman God. Why doesn't God defend his people? Now, the biggest Chilul Hashem, the biggest profaning of God's name in Jewish history was obviously not every pogrom, which is true, but the Holocaust, where not only did the Germans, but even a lot of Jews began asking, hey, where is our God? Are we still the chosen people? And that is why when an Arab terrorist wants to stab a Christian or a Jew or anyone who's not Muslim, he will say, Allahu Akbar. Our God is greater. Our God is the greatest. Because he wants to show that when the Muslim army makes a jihad, a holy war, and kills other infidels, that's a point for the Muslim God. And the Christians did the same in the Crusades, right? They wanted to show that God is Christian. And after 1900 years of the Jews being downtrodden by the Christians and by the Muslims, the Jewish people is back in our land, and the whole world is looking at us as we are fulfilling the prophecies of Isaiah and Jeremiah and the Torah, which says that we will come back for a third and a final time. And we have an obligation to stick up for God and to stick up for God's nation. God is called Hashem Elokei Yisrael. He is the God of Israel. And that is another reason why all the heroes of the Tanakh, all the biblical heroes, always fought to defend God's honor. And if you see when David is fighting Goliath, he says, I'm coming in the name of God because you cut down the Jewish God. Now look there in that chapter. It doesn't. Goliath doesn't say anything about the Jewish God, but he cuts down the Jewish people, which is a way of slapping God in the face. All right, you can't slap God in the face. So what do? You slap his child. And that hurts God, and that is a Chilul Hashem. And that's another point, obviously, is that the Israeli army is fighting to protect and to conquer the Holy Land, the land of Israel. So all of these, we mentioned 6 different points, smaller points compared to other points that we mentioned before, but to summarize the 6 points that we mentioned today, the wars of Israel are justice, to not only to fight against evil, but somebody comes to attack you, it's justice to return to fight. Number 2, Jewish pride. Number 3, a love of Israel. If Jews are hurt, you want to help them, just like they're your brothers, and they are our brothers. Point number 4, how much more so when we're talking about the chosen people, God's chosen people. Number 5, that it's a Chilul Hashem. It is a profaning of God's name when his people are slapped, and we have to stand up and wallop those who fight against the Jewish God. And the final point, we come to defend the Holy Land of Israel. So this was a mini-series, and I hope to see you in the future in more Shiurim on Arutz Meir. Shalom, shalom.